So I want to introduce to you one of the persons in that video, Scott Jenkins. Scott is the general manager of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Scott comes from the Atlanta Falcons, and before he was with the Falcons, he spent 7.5 years with the Seattle Mariners as vice president of field operations. Scott was responsible for initiating the composting program there at Safeco Field, along with this year's Composter of the Year, Cedar Grove Compost. Just very coincidental here. Before his time with the Mariners, Scott served as vice president of stadium of operation of the Philadelphia Eagles, go Eagles, where he managed the stadium operations at Lincoln Field. He also previously served as vice president of stadium operations for the Milwaukee Brewers and also GM of Kohl Center at the University of Wisconsin. Scott is a pioneer in the green building movement in sports and was an inaugural member of the Green Sports Alliance, an organization co-founded by the Natural Resource and Defense Council, dedicated to improving green building practices in sport. He now serves as president and chairman of the Green Sports Alliance. Scott graduated from the University of Wisconsin, go Badgers, with a BS in construction administration. He also has an MBA from the University of Washington. While an undergrad at Wisconsin, Scott also was a 5-time All-American cross-country and track, member of the 1982 and 1985 NCAA national champion cross-country teams, Wisconsin Badgers. Please give a warm welcome to Scott Jenkins.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Atlanta. Nice to see so many people here. Some friends that I've known for many years and have played an integral part in some of the success of what the sports industry has done and some of the venues that I've been in. So I want to share with you some thoughts about that. So sports and compost, not exactly what you think go together, but there are some important things when you think about how we run our buildings and what we can do environmentally. And I like this chart because it shows the progression of what you can do when you put your mind to it and you partner with people like you in the room. And Frank mentioned Cedar Grove, and they were a huge part of our success in Seattle. So this is Safeco Field, and this is our zero waste trajectory. And you'll notice that we had a huge jump between 09 and 10. And then we continued to sharpen the saw to get to about 90%. And really composting the front of the house waste was really the key to that. To get to 38% diversion rate, we had a back-of-the-house composting program in our food service operation, and that left a lot of stuff still going to the landfill. And you can see the huge jump as soon as we went to the front of the house and getting good compostable serviceware that worked for us, having a commercial composter that could handle it. And now, when we first did this, it was really pretty tricky. I didn't know if it was really going to work or not. We switched our landfill containers one year to compost the next year and took a gamble that it would work out, and it did. So composting is key to the path to zero waste for us in sports, but also for really anybody in any business or any community. So very grateful for the good work that you guys do. When you look at a ballpark, we get some grass clippings, but again, the bulk of what we have is front of the house food service related waste. And to capture that material and do something other than landfilling it really requires us to compost it. And you can see that 50% of the waste at Safeco Field in 2011 was organics. So if we aren't dealing with organics, we're playing on half the field. So we've got to get into that, and our industry has gotten into it in a pretty big way, and there's a number of buildings now that are zero waste, and the Super Bowl in a couple weeks at the Vikings Stadium is going to be a zero waste event, thanks to Jack Rowe and the good work that the NFL does and the good work that the people running that building are doing. So our industry is definitely getting into the game. So what else? Why else is it important? You saw the celebrities up there talking about the compost story, but we've got to get the message out. We can leverage the cultural and market influence of sports and entertainment to promote healthy, sustainable communities where we live and play. And where else are people going to talk about compost? It's not something that we do every day, right? Fortunately, living in Seattle, we could put our food waste out with our yard waste and pick it up. Not many communities have that kind of infrastructure and that kind of commitment. Atlanta's definitely a different place when it comes to that. We're not exactly tuned in at recycling and diverting waste, but we're getting better, and we've got some big stars in the marketplace. So we've got to leverage that, and I think that's the exciting thing about the Green Sports Alliance. We surveyed fans a couple years ago, and I was shocked when I saw the results. Being a bit of a tree hugger myself, I thought, you know, people have to care about this stuff to some degree. But when we did a survey of sports fans around the country, we found that 81% of the people expressed some concern about the environment of sports fans. And so that's just about everybody, and that to me was really encouraging. In fact, sports fans expect that 58% of sports fans expect that our teams and our leagues will use environmentally friendly products. So there's an expectation there. 50% expect that we'll operate in a LEED certified building. If you go back 10, 15 years ago, I don't think we'd have been anywhere close to those kinds of results. So the marketplace is demanding it, people are caring about it, and sports has an opportunity to bring it to the forefront. So with the Green Sports Alliance, this is tough to read. Is it easier for you up there? No, it changed from my slide deck, but this is our mission, where we're, I can't even read that. Maybe someone else out there can. But we're trying to leverage the cultural influence of sports to make market differences and consumer differences, and it's working. The Green Sports Alliance has been around for some years now, and our membership keeps growing, much like the strength of this organization. To see so many people here thinking and talking about composting and waste diversion is encouraging. But we've got nearly 400 members now, professional teams, collegiate teams, venues, leagues. We've got membership in 14 different countries. There's a Green Sports Alliance in Japan that's just starting up. There's great work being done in Australia. There's great work being done in Europe. So it's encouraging to see people getting in the game. And when you see a bunch of these logos up there, there are some people doing some great work. There's multiple teams that have passed the 90% diversion rate. And in the short amount of time that the Green Sports Alliance has been around, a big shift in people getting in the game. So if people were diverting 10% in the past, they're up to 10 or to 20 or 30 now, that's a win. And for the teams that are really embracing it and going for zero waste, you know, kudos to them. So what do we work on at the Green Sports Alliance? We've got a number of categories, and one of my favorites is the waste category, but we also deal with energy, and that one's easy to do because that's a no-brainer in terms of a payback. Food waste, or for food sourcing, what we buy, our procurement. Transportation is a big thing. For sporting events, our biggest carbon impact is transportation of the fans. People think sports teams have a big footprint. It's really our fans that have the giant footprint, and it's all the travel, getting to and from the events, venues and getting LEED certified, the waste, as we talked about, and water. So those are the things that we work on, and we have a variety of things from playbooks and guides that we publish to reports and case studies. We have a summit that's going to be here in Atlanta at the end of June, so if anybody's really interested in how you plug into the sports industry, come on back to Atlanta. It'll be a lot warmer, probably a little hot by then, at the end of June, but we'll be right at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so it'll be a fun event, and you'll get to mingle with a bunch of people from throughout the sports industry. We host monthly webinars, we have regional workshops, we have our website with information on it, we publish monthly newsletters and general publications. So it's been fun to see what's happened in the last 7 years within our industry, and particularly with the Green Sports Alliance. So again, end of June, if you can get back to Atlanta, we'd love to see you. So that takes us to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. How about that video? Congratulations, whoever put that together. Great job. Water is a big piece of what we did with LEED, and Arthur Blank, our owner, was clear that he wanted to redefine the stadium experience, and he wanted to be the best at every level. And so when it came to sustainability, it was just like everything else. We want to reset the expectation, raise the bar. And so LEED Platinum was really something we wanted to do. We knew we could get to gold. Platinum is pretty tough. You need 80 points. And when you look at the score sheet for LEED, just to get certified, it's around 40. And then you go up silver, you go gold, and you go platinum. It's a tall order, especially in a complex project that's this big. But water was a big thing to us because we're in the headwaters of the Project Creek watershed. And so our storm contribution impacts the neighborhood. And the neighborhood, there's a West Side initiative that Arthur's funded some $30 million already to help redevelop and provide opportunity on the West Side. So last thing we wanted to do was contribute to flooding in the neighborhood. So it fit with our LEED aspirations and our desire to make a difference in the neighborhood. So these bioswales are a really nice component where we've got engineered composite material in the soil. The video did a great job talking about that. We've got a 1.1 million gallon storm vault that collects and slowly bleeds off the water into the storm system so we don't have surges. And then we have a 680,000 gallon cistern where we collect and reuse rainwater for cooling towers and irrigation of the site. And when you get back here for the summit in June, you can enjoy some of our edible landscape that's fed by the rainwater that we captured and some of the bioswales, so that'll be cool. Also, solar energy was a big piece of that. To get the lead, when we were tracking our points, we were really close to 80, but you don't know until you get to the end if you're going to get there or not and get all the points. So we were nervous about that, and when we did our energy modeling, we ended up being very efficient, which gave us some points. And then we partnered with Georgia Power, and we have some 4,000 solar panels deployed as part of the project that provide shade and shelter for the parking garage and for people as they enter, but a pretty big renewable energy component. So that gave us a big shot in the arm when we got the energy model in, and then we were able to deploy so much solar. Also in the garage that's next to the building and the surface lot, we have the ability to charge 48 electric vehicles. Anybody in the crowd driving an EV? I've been doing it for 7 years. I love it. I love my Leaf. I got 50,000 miles on it. I've changed the tires and I've changed some air filters. And my fuel cost, my electric bill for those 50,000 miles has been $1,500. So if you're not driving electric, you're throwing money out the window along with a lot of carbon. So start driving electric, you'll love it. When's the last time anybody watched a standard definition TV? Everybody's got an HD TV at home. Once you drive electric, that's HD. You go back to combustion, standard definition. Switch it, try it, and enjoy the future. Let's see here. Jumping out fast here. Okay, so a lot of eye candy in this building. There were a few people that took a tour yesterday. We had one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Who was out there that took a tour? What'd you think of the place? It's a spectacular building. It's beautiful. Great that it's LEED Platinum, but it is the best in entertainment. Really sexy architecture, great artwork. Our falcon at the entry of the stadium, when you walk in there, is the world's largest bird sculpture. Fantastic. We have 100 pieces of art throughout the building. Got an unbelievable food and beverage program. Last time you were at a football game or a basketball game, what'd you pay for a hot dog, popcorn, soda, bottle of water, 12-ounce draft beer? A lot, yeah. So at our place, we sell hot dogs for $2. We sell you a cup for soda. You can refill it all you want. It is a compostable cup. Refill it all you want, it's $2. That bottle of water, shouldn't drink that in the bottle anyways, but it's $2. The beer, draft, domestic is $5, so we have an unbelievable experience, and we've shot right to the top of the experience ratings in the NFL and the MLS. But that means we generate a lot of waste too, right? So we've got a lot of cleanup to do, and we've done some 30 major events and had about 2 million people through the doors in the first 5 months, so it's been just an incredible run. And when you're in the building, and you look up at that beautiful roof, that 8-piece triangular shaped roof, and we're still, believe it or not, building it. We just did our first automated opening in the last week or so, and that video halo board that's 58 feet high by 1,100 linear feet, it is mind-blowing. So people are having a blast there, and we hope to be, with LEED Platinum, show you can be the best, you can be sexy, you can be great, and you can be environmentally responsible. So it's a great platform. In the last week, I was thinking what I was going to say up here, and I kept reading things online and posts about the waste we generate, and you guys are all about organic waste, but some of these numbers are just mind-blowing, and you guys are familiar with this, so pardon me if I'm boring you, but I'll throw some numbers out there. 500 million. What does that mean? That's the number of straws we consume daily. You know, we could circle the planet 2.5 times every day with those straws. 100 billion. Number of plastic shopping bags used in the US each year. 100 billion. 2.5 million. Now we're getting a small number. Number of plastic bottles discarded in an hour in the US. 1.65 billion. Value of food thrown out annually in the US. Here's a small number, 14%. Feeling better? The amount of plastic packaging that gets recycled in the US. 11 billion. The value of recyclable materials that we put in the landfill every year. In the state of Georgia, we put $70 million worth of aluminum in the landfill every year. 306 million. Been a rough year. And there's more to come. But there is hope. Companies like Coca-Cola, anybody from Coke in the room? I would think so in Atlanta. Anybody here? Nobody from Coke? They had a big announcement last week. They announced a vision for a world without waste. So can you imagine that? That would be awesome. So what are they doing about it? By 2020, they're going to collect and recycle a bottle or a can for every one they sell. They're going to use 100% recyclable packaging, and they use 50% recycled content in bottles. So it's nice to see big companies going out there with some meaningful things to help reduce the waste. So when I made this pitch, we made this pitch within sports, we said we've got to make the business case for sustainability. It's really about opportunities. Bottom line savings. Everybody cares about the numbers, right? Sustainability pays. We're going to reduce costs, reduce waste. We're going to partner with our companies like Coke, like Georgia Power, like Novelis, and we're going to promote them and their brands and environmentally responsible actions. We're going to increase our brand value when we do that. It sure helps to be in LEED Platinum Mercedes-Benz Stadium. People take note of that, and that helps the Falcons and it helps Atlanta United. We fulfill our social responsibility, improve our environmental performance, and most importantly, leverage our brands to raise awareness and drive change, which I think is ultimately the good thing that we have to offer. So what do sports have to do with composting? Composting is the key path to zero waste for us and for many others. And we need to leverage the cultural and market influence of sports and entertainment to promote healthy and sustainable communities where we live and play. So there was a neat quote that I saw online. The future is literally in our hands to mold as we like, but we cannot wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow is now. So with that, I'll conclude and see if we have a minute or two for any questions. Frank, is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead. There's a mic stand right in the center there. If you want.
Yeah, in the middle of the room there's a mic, and if you got a good voice, just shout it out here. How are we doing on time? We're good? Any questions? Anybody want to know what it's like to run a stadium? To try to reach zero waste? We are really good at landfilling right now. What's the turf? We have artificial turf, which actually works really well. In that building, with the amount of lights we have, and the shade that we have, and the fact that we're really a big arena, you couldn't grow grass in there. So it is pretty efficient. It is unique because it's just green. And the building was designed for soccer in mind, so we can customize building for Atlanta United and soccer events, and then for football. So our corner seats retract, so we have the width of a full FIFA certified field, and everything's green, so we've got to paint everything. And that was one of the things I was most nervous about going into the building, because we sometimes have to turn the building overnight from a college game to a pro game, or from football to soccer. That means we got to take everything off and put all the new lines in, and it's been working brilliantly. Our crews have been able to turn the building in about 10 hours. And so you wouldn't imagine one night that you're there at a football game, and the next afternoon you're watching soccer, and you couldn't tell. So, but we do, we have a great water-soluble paint system. Yeah. You.
Hi. I think that what you're doing with the sports should be something that should be political policy or public policy for the whole nation. And one thing I would like to ask you, you were giving statistics on how many things end up in the landfill. Do you have any information on how many things end up in incineration that are not being used to compost or recycle?
So if I heard that right, how much ends up in the landfill?
No, you have that with the landfill, but I'd like to know if you have information on how much ends up in incinerators.
Incinerators?
Instead of composting and recycling.
Yeah, you know, I don't, and I think it's going to differ by venue and locale. I'm not a fan of incineration. I know there are some cities that have gotten to zero waste, and when I see huge numbers in the upper 90s, I think, man, they must have burned some of that. In Seattle, I can tell you we didn't burn any of it, and we got to a 90% diversion rate, so it is possible.
With all the work, excuse me, with all the work you've done with the Sports Alliance, have you thought about, or has there been discussion about bringing the snow sports industry into it as well?
Yeah, we work with snow sports a fair amount. Protect Our Winners, POW, does a lot of great work. It's a different organization, but we are kindred spirits, and when we have a Green Sports Alliance Summit, or we have webinars, we work with them very closely. And they do great work. I mean, those athletes are out there, and they're in the crosshairs of climate change. When it's unusually warm weather, and you don't have snow coverage, doesn't bode well for that industry. So they definitely are very active over here.
What advice do you have for your neighbor, Phillips Arena, who's getting ready to redo their whole facility?
Get LEED certified. Yeah, and Laura Turner Seidel is connected with the Hawks there in that building, and I know her and Rutherford very much would like to see that get LEED certified. They've done great work there, the Better Building Challenge with energy conservation, and they are LEED certified, I think, in the EBOM. Are they, Holly? Existing building? Yeah, so they were first to the party in terms of existing building operations and maintenance. So they're undertaking a big renovation now, and I'm sure they're making some wise choices there environmentally.
Hey, can you talk a little bit about what you are doing for composting now, if you've gotten to the point where you want to be, and what you plan to do when you get?
Yeah, what are we doing now, and have we gotten where we want to be? We're really good at landfilling. And it kills me because we don't want to do that. We're 5 months into the building, and you saw the journey in Seattle. I got there when the building was 6 years old, and it took us 6 years to get to zero waste. So this doesn't happen overnight. We are collecting food waste, and we are doing some composting back of house kitchens. We separate out plastic and aluminum, and we do cardboard. So we're really in the infancy, and we're not good at it. We've been drinking from the fire hose back to back to back major events, and with 70,000 people, and then as I mentioned, our food program, our volumes of food is off the chart. So to try to clean from night to night, we're quite honestly challenged right now, but that's our biggest opportunity, is to really turn that around and get it pointed in this path to zero waste. The other challenge here in Atlanta, we need a good local commercial composter that can take this stuff without us shipping it an hour and a half away. So that's another piece of the puzzle, and a lot of people are talking about it, and encouraging things are bubbling around out there.
Yes, given the capacity of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, are you using the opportunity to educate the patrons as to the benefits of composting and recycling? And if you are, how so?
Yeah, good question. We are doing some things with messaging with our partners with Novellus. We have a program called Recycle for Good, where we recycle aluminum, and we funded a Habitat for Humanity house on the west side. So we have a branded program there that you'll see throughout the stadium, and we have major features on the Halo board promoting it. With Coke, we have a Give It Back campaign with recycling plastic bottles. Haven't ventured into the composting world yet. I can tell you in Seattle we did in a pretty significant way, working with BASF and our partners like Cedar Grove. And the fun thing there was BASF went out, unbeknownst to me, and surveyed our fans after the season because they wanted to find out if the messaging was effective and if it was well received in the marketplace. And so we had a program called Sustainable Sundays, and they surveyed fans who attended games on those days and asked them about composting, and are they doing it at home more or less, and did they think the ad was valuable? And something like 45% of the people that went to that game said that they are now composting more at home. So to me, that was like the bingo. What would you do to get 45% of the general population to start composting at home? How would you do an advertising campaign to reach those people? And how much would it cost? And it didn't cost a lot of money. It was quite effective, and Seattle is probably leaning into that issue a little more than other communities, and we had Cedar Grove, and we had partnership with BASF, but that's really this intersection of sport where we can do that and bring those kinds of programs together, and that's the kind of stuff that we need to do more of here in Atlanta. Thank you.
Would it be possible to get that amazing Instagram video
Could we get that amazing Instagram on the yeah. Well, I'd love to. We do have a challenge in our business too, because people come to be entertained, and we actually get rated by the NFL. They come and see what we do. So our messaging somehow always wants to be tied to sport and performance, and we're trying to figure out how we do that and get that word out there. But we've done really well with Habitat for Humanity, promoting Recycle for Good, and I can see us doing more of that to get that message out. We need sports figures like we have actors out there doing it too, and that's another thing that I think we need to do more of, because that's the holy grail. That's how we get people's attention. So we've got to figure out how to do it. We've built a foundation within the sports industry that's doing meaningful work. We've got buy-in from the leagues, we've got buy-in from the commissioners, we've got operations people, buildings are doing the right thing, comms people are getting into the game, and now what we really need to do is have the people with the voice that can cut through the clutter and get to the fans in a really meaningful way. The question is how we work with our food providers to source the right materials, and then B, when the food is prepared and not used, what are we doing to keep it out of the landfill? And we've worked with Levy as our food and beverage partner, and they've been great partners. The bulk of what we use now is compostable, so we're teed up to do front-of-the-house composting. We've got to figure out the back end of that and where that stuff goes. So we've gotten good cooperation. We still have some things we need to do there, but we've got a little bit of time to do that. So we've been successful there in Seattle, working with Eco Products and others in Cedar Grove. It took about 2 years to really change our serviceware to get it to where it was really pretty clean stream. And it works, and a lot of the venues that are getting to those big numbers are doing it, so it's very doable. On the food and the community impact, we work with an organization called Second Helpings, and Sophie, you're out there. Do you remember how much we've given them? 16,000 pounds? Yeah, so we've put a lot of food back in the community, and they're thrilled with us, because we have to prepare food for 190 suites, 70,000 people, and you can't run out. But when the night's over, and you have food that's not been served, that you don't want to see that go to waste. And Levy's been great working with Second Helpings to get that into the community and make a difference. So that is definitely a part of our waste strategy. Frank? Sure. Yeah. Where the dome's at, if you went by there now, you won't see much of anything except the big hole. The demo guys have been going at it, and all of that will get scrapped, recycled, concrete pulverized and left to fill, so I don't think much of anything's going to landfill there. But that will be the Home Depot backyard. And one thing that Arthur wanted to do, again, is make a difference in the neighborhood. And the west side of Atlanta, the home of Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders, is literally across the street from the stadium. And it's a neighborhood that's been in decline for some 50 years. So it's really sad to see what's happened. What was a really well-off, affluent neighborhood, African-American neighborhood, is now in disrepair. But one of the things we're doing with the Home Depot backyard is to not just build parking, a sea of parking next to our stadium, although we need parking, but Arthur wanted to activate it every day as a community asset. So it's going to become a park where it'll be grass, so it can be grass fields where we can do kids' athletic things, and we can do farmers markets and different kinds of community activations, but then still park on it for the big game days and tailgate in a park setting. So it's going to enhance the game day experience and then provide an asset for the community. And with the dome down now, it really opened up the connection between the west side of Atlanta and downtown and Centennial Olympic Park. So visually it's way different, even now that it's just a hole. But when it becomes a community asset with the park, and it's activated, it's going to really strengthen that connection from the west side to downtown. So it's going to be cool to see what happens in the years to come. One more question. Here we go. How many are dedicated to landscape? You know, I just did some math on that last night because I'm getting ready for a presentation tomorrow in Orlando at MLS. And I don't recall is the quick answer, but there's different categories, site, and you know, when you're trying to get LEED Platinum and you look at how many are available, you pretty much have to get them all. I mean, your goal has to be to get them all. You're not going to get to 80. I think there's only 110 or something total that you could get if you got everything. We got 88. So as I went through the categories, you know, if 10 were available, we got 10. You know, if 15 were available, we got 14. So we did really well. We got I know on the waterfront, we got every available water credit you could get. We went really strong there. But in most cases, we went for pretty much all of it. All right, thanks guys. Enjoy your time in Atlanta.